against a police state, against racist intersectionality, against political correctness, against mob rule, against the racist socialist left, against the victimhood liars. The idiots have been in charge way too long. And that's why you're here. For the podcast you need. All for liberty all the time. Welcome to Liberty Bites Back. With your host, Brandon Imo.
Welcome to the 11th episode of Liberty Bites Back. In this episode, I will be going over the elderly being alone, war around the corner, and the deep state controlling the wars, and also an archaeological find. In the United States, close to 2 million ages 65 to 85 plus elderly people die a year. Knowing that in the United States, close to 3 million people with no age bracket die a year. These are natural, disease, and in any death in accidents and anything. Close to 2/3 of the deaths are old people in the United States. Every single year. But this year, we are worried about grandma and grandpa dying? With a death count of around 250,000 people dead from coronavirus. But that's like 10% of, that's counting all the ages of coronavirus deaths. 10% of the normal deaths of the elderly in this country? Well, death is never something to laugh, dismiss, or not care about. This is not something to panic about. The coronavirus is clearly the new hot topic of fear to sell to the masses, to the mainstream media, and sadly to some of the independent media. Every single year, close to 2 million grandmas and grandpas die. This was way before coronavirus. This is an estimate of yearly deaths. Every single year. But with the full death count not withdrawing anyone not old enough to be a grandma or grandpa, we have 250,000 deaths from coronavirus. And Joe Biden and the establishment are using these deaths, a smaller percentage in all of the years of grandmas and grandpas dying, to then say that they are superheroes because of not capes, but because they hide their humanity in their face with the super amazing face masks. They're shoving masks in our face, literally, telling us that they are the new capes and that they will make us superheroes. Saving grandma and grandpa, they say. But truly, they are deterring us all and telling us, all people, also to never see our grandma and grandpas again. So I ask, how the hell are they saving grandma and grandpa when we are not even allowed around grandma and grandpa? What will the mask do if you're not even allowed around the grandmas and grandpas? They will do absolutely nothing, because you are not around your grandma and grandpa. Nobody is around your grandma and grandpa, for they are separated. This is a propaganda tactic to allow the tyranny. It doesn't have to make sense. It just needs to be tools to push their agenda. People die every single year, but this year, thanks to politicians, we are not superheroes. They are not superheroes. They are the supervillains forcing grandma and grandpa to die alone. That's all that's changed. Nothing else changed. But now the elderly are dying alone because of the establishment so-called superheroes with their face masks on. Kamala Harris made it pretty clear her and Joe Biden are going to give the Syrians another chance. Or, more or less, another CIA revolution will happen again. I'll read this article from the Middle East Monitor. Quote, the administration of U.S. presidential candidate Joe Biden will reverse a number of President Donald Trump's controversial policies on Palestine and the broader Middle East. According to Kamala Harris, the Democratic Party candidate for vice president made numerous pledges in an interview over the weekend with Arab American News. Responding to a question about U.S. foreign policy in Palestine and the broader Middle East, Harris said, Joe and I believe in the worth and the value of every Palestinian and every Israeli, and we will work to ensure that Palestinians and Israelis enjoy equal measures of freedom, security, prosperity, and democracy, signaling a major shift from the Trump era, which saw the U.S. depart from its traditional position to side with the ultra-right anti-Palestinian government of Benjamin Netanyahu. Harris added, "We are committed to a two-state solution, and we will oppose any unilateral steps that undermine that goal. We will also oppose annexation and settlement expansion." Harris also pledged to reverse Trump's decision to defund organizations delivering critical relief and aid to the Palestinians. Quote, "We will take immediate steps to restore economic and humanitarian assistance to the Palestinian people, address the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza, reopen the U.S. consulate in the East Jerusalem, and work to reopen the PLO mission in Washington." Well, all of this sounds like exactly what I would agree with. I do think it's because as a native, and with it less time than the natives, I understand that the struggle for a native land is going to happen. I do think, though, Biden and Harris will do nothing in this regard. And the article continues, quote, "Speaking about the broader Middle East, Harris said that Syria, a Biden-led administration, will once again stand with the civil society and pro-democracy partners in Syria and help advance a political settlement where the Syrian people have a voice. In the comments that are likely to cause deep anxiety in Saudi Arabia, Harris stated that the U.S. will not stand with wreak havoc in the region. Instead, by standing by as the government of Saudi Arabia pursues disastrous, dangerous policies, including the ongoing war in Yemen, we will reassess the U.S. relationship with Saudi Arabia and support for the Saudi-led war in Yemen," said Harris. Harris also commented on Trump's highly controversial Muslim ban. "Discrimination and bigotry will have no place in the Biden-Harris administration," she added. "On our first day in office, Joe and I will rescind the un-American Muslim travel and refugees ban and make America once again a welcoming destination for immigrants and refugees, including by raising the refugee admissions cap. They will urge on a Syrian civil war. A new war the war machine will certainly want." Now, Kamala Harris does say that the Yemen War will be over, led by Saudi Arabia, and if that's true, that's a plus. But we must hold their feet to the fire in this nation. Quote, "In comments that are likely to cause deep anxiety in Saudi Arabia, Harris stated that the U.S. will not stand by and watch wreak havoc in the region. Instead, by standing by as the government of Saudi Arabia pursues disastrous, dangerous policies, including the ongoing war in Yemen, we will reassess the U.S. relationship with Saudi Arabia and support for the Saudi-led war in Yemen," said Harris. "We must take this as a reality. It would be the only benefit that is being said openly. This really was not even a Saudi-led war in Yemen either. It's become a full-fledged ethnic cleansing. So many children are dying in Yemen, women dying, men dying. Saudi Arabia is the root of the evil. Donald Trump never did one thing to stop this madness. But he has signed peace deals from once thought impossible nations who signed on to peace. If Joe Biden or whatever, a Kamala Harris administration, actually stops the ethnic cleansing of the Yemen people, I would be more than happy about this issue. But it's truly just human decency to fix this. No war for us, though, either. Peace needs to be overall, and it needs to be achieved. Now, she said, instead of standing by as the government of Saudi Arabia pursues disastrous, dangerous policies, including the ongoing war in Yemen, we'll need to assess the U.S. relationship with Saudi Arabia and support for the Saudi-led war in Yemen. And we must hold her to her words. Hold them to those words. We will reassess the U.S. relationship with Saudi Arabia and support for the Saudi-led war in Yemen. The deep state hid soldiers in Syria and lied to Donald Trump. They subverted the president's orders. The war machine went rogue, people. It went rogue. Eisenhower's warning of an industrial military complex is for sure being seen right now. We are seeing the machine turn without listening to our own president. Our presidents don't control these wars, and it's clear as day right now. America Military News is what I'll be reading from. Quote, outgoing Ambassador Jim Jeffrey, the U.S. Special Envoy for Syria, admitted in an interview with Defense One to misleading President Donald Trump about the true number of U.S. troops deployed in Syria and convincing the president not to withdraw troops. Jeffrey said, we were always playing shell games to not make it clear to our leadership how many troops we had there. Jeffrey said the actual number of troops in the northeast Syria is a lot more than the approximate 200 troops Trump agreed to keep in the country in 2019. So they lied to President Trump, and they have over 200 troops in Syria right now. According to anonymous sources who spoke to Defense One, the true number of U.S. troops in Syria is said to be around 900. Though the precise number is classified and the reportedly remains unknown even to Trump and other members of his administration hoping to bring U.S. troops out of foreign engagements. Trump called for the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Syria at the end of 2018 and again in the October 2019, both times receiving pushback. Despite calling for the withdrawals, both times Trump was convinced to leave a contingent of U.S. troops in the country. What Syria withdrawal? There was never a Syrian withdrawal, Jeffrey told Defense One. When the situation in northeast Syria has been fairly stable after we defeated ISIS, Trump was inclined to pull out. In each case, we then decided to come up with a better arguments for why we needed to stay. And we succeeded both times. That's the story. After his October 2019 call for the withdrawal of troops from Syria, Trump was convinced last year to agree to keep around 400 U.S. troops in the country to maintain control of oil fields. The actual number of troops in the country is said to be much higher than Trump was led to believe. CNN national security correspondent Jim Sekudo similarly tweeted hearing claims the Department of Defense officials deceived Trump about the true U.S. presence in Syria. In the madman theory, senior DoD officials told me how they fooled Trump into leaving troops on the ground. If you look at his tweets, they were definitively about leaving. And then we didn't leave. And now we haven't left. We're still here, and that's a good thing, Jim Scudo tweeted. Jeffrey's revelations come days after Trump fired Defense Secretary Mark Esper, and 3 more top DoD officials resigned following Esper's removal. Jeffrey himself is now set to retire, Defense One reported. In 2016, Jeffrey did not sign a letter with dozens of GOP national security officials criticizing then candidate Trump as not qualified to lead and raising concerns about his ability to handle foreign policy decisions. In his latest interview with Defense One, Jeffrey actually credited Trump with achieving more stability in the Middle East than President George W. Bush or President Barack Obama. Nobody really wants to see President Trump go, among all of our allies in the Middle East, Jeffrey said. The truth is, President Trump and his policies are quite popular among all of the popular states in the region. Name me one that's not happy. In retaliation, Trump purges Pentagon leadership. Donald Trump purged the Pentagon leadership, and the Democrats and warmongers are now so panicked. Now, France 24 reports of an amazing archaeological find. Quote, Egypt announced Saturday that the discovery of an ancient treasure trove of more than 100 intact sarcophagi dating back more than 2,500 years ago, the largest such find this year. Sealed wooden coffins, unveiled on site in fanfare, belonged to top officials in the late period of the Ptolemaic period of ancient Egypt. They were found in 3 burial shafts at the depths of 12 meters, that'd be 40 feet, in the sweeping Sequoia necropolis south of Cairo. Archaeologists opened one coffin to reveal a mummy wrapped in a burial shroud adorned with brightly colored paleographical pictorials. Saqqara, home of more than a dozen pyramids, ancient monasteries, and ancient animal burial sites, is a vast necropolis of ancient Egyptian capital of Memphis, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The huge find came just over a month after archaeologists in the area found 59 other well-preserved and sealed wooden coffins, also dating back more than 2,500 years ago. Saqqara has yet to reveal all its contents. It is a treasure. Antiquities and Tourism Minister Khaled Al-Anana said in an unveiling ceremony. Excavations are still underway. Whenever we empty a burial shaft of Saqqara, we find an entrance to another. More than 40 statues of ancient deities and funeral masks were also discovered, he said. Another 2 wooden statues were found in the tomb belonging to ancient judge of the 6th dynasty, according to Mustafa Wazari and Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities. The sarcophagi will be distributed among the several museums in Egypt, including the yet-to-be-opened Grand Egyptian Museum in the Giza Plateau. The minister attributed the flurry of discoveries of Saqqara to extensive excavation works in the recent years. Another discovery in the vast necropolis is expected to be announced in the coming weeks, Ananian added. Archaeologists also hope to find an ancient workshop for manufacturing wooden coffins for mummies soon, said Vazari. Egypt hopes archaeological discoveries will spur tourism, a sector that has suffered multiple shocks ever since 2011 uprising until today's coronavirus pandemic. I would like to go ahead and thank you for watching the 11th episode of Liberty Bites Back. Peace.